What is up, Rad Potential YouTube? I'm Mr. Rad and welcome to today's video. This is a rotary truck, but most importantly, the engine that is inside this truck was built for under $400, right where you guys are sitting, literally using woodworking tools, and now it is back in the shop because, well, it did leave me stranded on the way to Cars and Coffee, but we did make it back. It does have almost 2,000 miles on it now, so we're gonna depression test, i.e. see how healthy, literally the worst engine we could have pretty much ever built, but we did build a running engine. We're gonna see how healthy it is. All right, so I'm gonna give you all a little tour of this truck. It has not always looked this nice. Dog's asleep. And we've restored this thing over the last, it's probably been about, let's see, it's been 6 years, I think. 2018, 2019. Charles, you're gonna watch this. Comment below when we put your truck together for the first time, that it ran and drove for the first time. Because I think I was still in college when we got this out of his garage. I remember we did a burnout in his driveway. I will put the clip up of basically just the cab with a carbureted engine and no bed, and it was a whole nightmare of a mess. So it's come a long way. But the setup, if you've never seen it before, is this is the Trash to Treasure REW engine. So it looks super nice. It's all janky used parts, some aftermarket Apex seals that were used. We did buy new O-rings, so like the coolant seals and oil control rings and stuff, and that was like a cheap $70 eBay kit, no name brand stuff, like just as basic can be. Strapped to it is a stock rotary truck 5-speed, I think, or it actually might be an RX-7 5-speed with an unknown air research turbo that's relatively small. It is, like I said, an REW engine from an FD RX-7, which y'all can just ignore what's happening in the background of the video from other projects. It's running on a Haltech Elite 750. We've got LS coils down here. I think it has injector aerodynamics, ID1000s and ID2000s. It now has, which this is a huge upgrade, notice the lack of fuel tank in the bed. So this truck used to have like a sumped plastic drag racing tank back here, and it would often, in the sun, balloon up and try to blow the lid off of it, which was very funny. So now it has, like what I did on my Radix 7, which is a EFI converted like in-tank pump. So it's like a hanger and a pump in there, and I think it's a 340 liter per hour pump. So we won't be able to really like put this thing on E85 and like super crank it up, but I am prepared to turn the boost to the moon on the dyno, which is why we have the Haltech stuff. So if you're new to rotary engines and you're building a budget engine, okay, compression is one of those, let's just say, it's a hot topic for these engines. Everyone wants to know how much compression does it make, and then that's how they judge if your engine is healthy or not. So, from my experience, if the engine, that's why I call this thing a depression tester, starts and runs, just don't even test it. You just know it runs. If you're gonna sell the car and you're a potential buyer of that car, I get it. You wanna compression test the engine before you buy it. And that's kind of a good thing to maybe get in the habit of. But as time goes on, like you have more experience with rotary engines, like Charles and I do, it's just like we can usually tell, spark plugs are black, whenever we start one of these engines, how much compression it has just by listening to it. We have well-calibrated ear chronometers, and it works really well. So this little sensor goes in the spark plug hole. I'm gonna jump in the truck and turn it over. Ideally, it doesn't start with this, you know, in the spark plug hole, because that'd be a lot of compression and fire and all sorts of things. So I'm gonna unplug all these ignition coils such that it won't start. There's other, you can like turn the fuel pump off or disconnect the injectors, or if you're on a stock RX-7 or RX-8, disconnect the fuel pump fuse such that then your car won't run. But right here, rotary truck life, I can just reach all of these. So we just unplug them. Okay, the compression tester is mad. Oh, dang! I don't know why my compression tester's freaking out, but look at that, 87, 85, 83. Come on around. Come on around. There's all you KPA numbers corrected. 87, 85, 83. Don't throw away your junk rotary engines, guys. Look at that. That's pretty dang good, honestly. I don't know why it wasn't reading, because it definitely has compression. Like, yes, it did strand me, and I barely made it back here, but engine should be good. It's cranking fine. Just, I was losing power and stuff. We'll deal with that here in a second. All right, that was the rear rotor. That was the rear rotor. Let's check the front. Gotta reach all the way in there. Let's give this thing a crank. $89, $86, $80, so $87, $84, $79. So one hole is just a smidge lower than the rest, but $79, honestly, we could probably keep cranking on it here and get those numbers to come up just a little bit, maybe, I don't know. Sometimes your compression tester, they just read a decent variation. Like if you do this, here, we'll just do it again. Check this out. Okay, so where are we at? 89, 86, 80, uncorrected. All right, next crank. $85, $85, $81, $83, $83, $79. So notice how there's some variation, right? Like we had one at 89, now it's at 83. One of them was at 79, it's still at 79, or I guess now it's at 81. Corrected, still 79. So there's some variation, like probably 3% error, right, in your compression. So arguing over like 1 or 2 points, we're in the 80s, we're probably pretty good. So now, what was happening while I was driving this truck? Cruising down the road, I hit a bump, the whole truck shut off. I hit a bump like 50 feet later, the whole truck turned back on. So I pulled over. Couldn't get the truck to restart after I'd shut it off and turned it back on. Messed around with some wiring, was able to get it started. I have really no idea what's happening because it also shut off again twice on the way back. So we've got to investigate some wiring in this, which is interesting because it did drive all the way to Deals Gap, which is like, you know, a solid 500 miles or so for this thing with no issues. And Charles uses it like a truck. You know, he takes his trash and hauls metal and all sorts of stuff in the bed like it's a pickup truck. So let's figure it out. Wiring investigation starts now. So if y'all remember, under here we have this group of wires that comes from behind the seat. These are extra things in the Haltech we're not using. And you can see the Haltech Elite's actually up there. The fuse box. It's kind of an old school. With the Elite 750, you have actual like fuses and relays versus the R3s, which we've been installing on other cars. You don't have any fuses and relays. It's all like PDM or the Nexus Rebel LS series stuff. So all those wires run under the carpet. And then behind the seat in the rotary trucks, there would be a fuse box right here with fusible links. So since this truck has been rewired completely from scratch, there's actually an FC RX-7 fuse box back here, and what happens is the wires like literally like to just fall out. So in essence of checking to make sure that everything was good, I came back here and started wiggling stuff around. Everything looks good there. And then, because sometimes the camera's not on all the time, I was like, oh, let me look at the battery. And sure enough, eureka moment, not on film, but right there. Right there. See the battery cover, i.e. the lid of this right here. So that right there is shorting out on that terminal. You can see the battery acid here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. We're going to clean the battery acid off of it. Slide this forward. And notice Charles already has a block of wood in here. We're going to put another couple blocks of wood back here so the battery stays in the middle, because this battery is too small for the box itself, which doesn't necessarily matter, but it matters in the sense of we're shorting out our positive battery cable to ground, which is causing the whole truck to shut off. Definitely, it just probably moved in the trailer on the way up here to Indiana. So we get this fixed. We put the Mac valve on. I already hooked up the rotary trim switch, if you guys were paying attention. So it's in the dash already, ready to turn up and down the boost, and I updated the PC. See this behind me? Which I'll show you all that once I get the boost controller actual Mac valve wired up. So fix this, fix that, test drive, try not to blow it up before we go to the dyno. Extra block of wood, extra block of wood, extra block of wood, not going anywhere. So that little bungee cord holds the battery door up. Nailed it. We're done back here. Nailed it. Oh, don't want to shut the Haltech cord in there. Nailed it. So now I got to find a place to put this Mac valve, which I think Either somewhere in here or under the manifold will be the best. Ideally, completely out of sight so that we can't see it. It doesn't clutter up this engine bay. Albeit, it is blue, so it is going to match, you know, all the blue, including the blue vacuum caps, because this thing's blue. Alright guys, so I've got the wastegate replumbed for the MAC valve, which means I had to add another vacuum line, so we're feeding air to both the top and the bottom of the wastegate so that we can, with our little dial, turn the wastegate up to hold it closed to make more boost, or turn the wastegate down to make less boost, because, well, this truck is going to be real sketchy considering it has stock rotary truck suspension, which is like literally probably the worst brakes you could pretty much ever have on a pickup truck that's going to make probably 300 to 350 horsepower. So that's done. What I want to show you guys real quick is check this out. This is going to be a new product coming soon to the Rad Potential Racing website. If you haven't gone and checked that out, I got like rotary engine assembly trays, little rotor things, some t-shirts, some stickers. It's a great way to support the channel. Mr. Radvertisement's now here. But these will be on the website very soon. Charles is actually making all the little stickers for these to denote what they are. So it'll say like, I'll drop it, I'm gonna scratch the paint. 13B REW, and I'll have a little Rad Potential logo on it. These are all made by me here on my plasma table. So not like, you know, send, cut, send, outsource to somebody else. You buy one of these, you're directly supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. They'll probably be up within a week of this video, but still, go check out the website, see if they're there. I'll be adding every single block off I could pretty much imagine for what I'm calling the rotary engine service plate, which allows you to cover the intake of your engine while you're working on the car so you don't drop any parts or tools down there and mess up your motor. Better than a piece of cardboard or tape. Intake air temp sensor, TPS, throttle cable. Alright guys, check that out. MAC valve tucked in there, DTM connector plugged in over there, vacuum line's routed. I did change it, if you notice, that vacuum line over there under that intake elbow. It was plumbed before so that the wastegate actually saw manifold vacuum, not just positive pressure, meaning it was getting its source from the engine side of the throttle body. In most cases, that's like not ideal, because if your wastegate actually leaks, then your engine has a vacuum leak. So you typically only plumb your wastegate to the positive pressure side, meaning between the turbo and the throttle body, such that you don't have the suction of, you know, wastegate gases into your intake. So I went ahead and switched that. There was already a port on that Gretty elbow, probably for like water methanol injection if I had to bet. So that's all dialed. That should be dialed. That's dialed. Everything's dialed. We're ready to fire this up and make sure that it stays running this time whenever we go for a test drive. And it does look like it is about to rain. So we're going to try to beat the rain, or the truck's going to get dirty, but that's okay because it's a truck and we do truck stuff. Oh, I'm getting... The wind just changed directions and we got soaked. Good thing it didn't get the, oh, we got some water in the turbo. There's some water injection for the hybrid going on now. How about that? Little sneak peek. Hopefully that blows over. Poor Buzz out there getting rained on. I'm pretty stoked though. With the air cleaner in the bumper, when you drive in the rain, it's like cheap, free water methanol injection, you know? Just suck up a little water vapor, and she's ripping. Caddy Mac's getting a little bit of a wash, which unfortunately, and the big trailer is now dirty because it got rained on. Let's just say we're in the thick of it, boys. We're right about here. Fixing to get smoked by that right there. We got a break in the rain, so we're gonna make this quick. I got the laptop set up. I just want to make sure the boost controller is working, and then it can go in the trailer and we can head to the dyno. I'm pumped. So the goal is boost controller off. It should make like 9 or so PSI. Boost controller on. We should make more than 9 psi, but ideally less than 15 psi because that's the boost cut. So that's my goal for right now. Let's go for a rip. All the plug wires off and they're not labeled. I wonder if I've got the leading and the trailing backwards. I don't know. Just something doesn't feel right. It was running really well, like ripping pretty good for the tail of the dragon, for all that stuff. The only things we've changed so far, one, the battery was shorting out. Okay, noted, because I drove it in the trailer like normal before we brought it up here. Charles hadn't been having really any issues with it. So the only things we've changed are just that little bit of vacuum routing, which would only make it like idle high, but the throttle cable was twisted, so I fixed that. So we're idling like normal, like. Fires right up. It's making 44 psi fuel pressure, so we're good there. It's just static pressure, right? So basically there's no boost reference to that regulator. It just runs the pressure it runs. The ECU knows that. As long as you keep it the same, it's when we're not running out of injector, it's not running lean, we're only at 40-50% duty cycle. So it's not that. It's not the vacuum routing. We're good there. The charge pipe's back on. It definitely didn't blow the charge pipe off because I didn't hear a huge explosion. The only thing I can think of is the plug wires aren't labeled, so I probably should check those. Just make sure. If I flip them around and then it runs like crap, we know that that's not the issue. So, since it's starting to rain right now again, perfect test drive. Let's investigate further, because this is not ideal. It does seem though like the boost controller is working, because when I did set this to 60%, it did make more boost than it did before, albeit it was just not stoked. It made like 9 after I changed it. So it's just like, you can hear it. It's like running into a wall without the wall part, without the physical damage. So I found my issue. It's definitely not the plug being plugged in wrong. It is this plug has worked its way loose from our compression test. So I'm gonna snug that down, and then ideally we should be good to go. Which is interesting because typically I don't usually have issues with things coming loose because I like to really tighten things. Okay. But a loose plug would definitely cause us some issues. Let's fire you up. And I just wiped it off too, so now we're gonna, you know, rev it. Make sure she's revving all happy like without getting any carbon monoxide. Should we go for another golf senses? Still gonna rain? It's definitely still gonna rain. Should we go for another drive here? This thing sounds perfect right whenever I fire it up. All right, key on. I can hear the boost controller up there ticking now. There we go, okay. Definitely still needs some tuning because it has this like little bit of a lean spot when I'm revving it. So now that the wideband is caught back up, my fuel trims can kick in to correct that. Hear that little stumble? Oh yeah, now we're cooking with gas. Let's go try again. It could probably also just need fresh spark plugs. They were a little duddy. They were a little black whenever I took them out. Alright, now just be happy, please. That's ultimately one of the unfortunate things about running like an Elite 750 is I don't have enough inputs to be able to run a fuel pressure sensor. So, you know, one of my inputs I'm using for this boost controller here, and I can't use that for fuel pressure, so I can't see on the log or anything if the fuel pressure's dropping during that like fuel slosh, what I think is happening situation. Y'all spot the dog up there watching from the window? It's always funny. She'll go up there to sit in her bed, and then if I make noise down here, she comes and checks it out. Good view. The truck is clean, and that's going to be the end of this video. It's unfortunate that I couldn't go fully rip it and make sure that it's like 100% dialed right now, but I want to get this video done for you guys because I've been putting a ton of time into finishing up all the sheet metal work in the engine bay of the FD. So this is for another video. You can see I've got the turbo for the car as well, the intercooler stuff. So we've got a little bit more fabrication happening on this project, which will be the next video. So what to look forward to though, and why you guys should subscribe, is we're gonna strap this onto the dyno, and with that little turbo, we're just gonna push this thing pretty much to the max. It has basically unbreakable as far as carnage apex seals, so we could warp one. We know the compression numbers right now. We'll check them after if we feel so inclined, but I'm comfortable with putting this on the dyno, having Ernie tune it, and we can max out on pump gas this REW engine. The only thing that sucks right now is we only have a 340 liter per hour pump, one pump, and 4 injectors. So going to E85 and really trying to push this is gonna be a little bit tough with the fuel system that we have right now. So should everything go well, you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, check everything out. I will bring this back and I will change the fuel pump and put this on E85 and see how much power it makes. In addition to, I'm not opposed to changing the turbo. So subscribe, follow along. This hits the dyno. There's another really badass rotary truck in the trailer right now that's also gonna hit the dyno, and we gotta just button up some little projects. So quick project update at the end of the video. Radix 7, E85, it's ripping. The Radix 8, I've got everything to do the turbo kit, just waiting for a very professional fabricator to come and TIG weld all the Schedule 10 stainless and make a proper turbo manifold, i.e. a REW swap kit that you guys could buy, so get stoked for that project. And then also, this thing is, let's just say, we're coming to party with the hybrid. Check this out. That's a big turbo. At least it's big for me. Might not be big for everybody else. So, with that, thank you guys so much for watching the videos. It's been a crazy week for me, and I'm excited to, one, get this uploaded for you, but two, just get to the dyno. It's gonna be a great weekend. So with that, live a life you don't need a vacation from, keep it rad. We'll see you in the next one. Dang. This blue just looks so good on this truck. I did wipe it down, at least get it clean for y'all so you can see how sexy this thing is. Charles went in here when he changed the fuel system and he tire shined the bed. You literally will completely fall on your face on this. It's so slick, but the tire shine on the bed liner looks so good. So pumped. It is just, I'll put a picture of it up. It has come a long way, this truck, in the last 5 or 6 years. I'm happy to share it with you guys. Peace.